Hey everyone, good afternoon. Thank you guys for being here this afternoon for the webinar. I know it's 12 o'clock. I'm just giving it a couple of seconds for people to kind of jump in because of the lunchtime. So if you guys just hang out for just a second, I will get started. Um, I have to send a couple people who are having issues logging in. So give me one moment here. Okay. Alrighty. So with that being said, I'm going to kind of just get started with a couple of things here. First, I want to welcome you guys here this afternoon for the Lunch and Learn webinar. Today's a new topic that I haven't presented on before, yet, so this is a brand new webinar topic for us today. It's about preparing for retirement. Now, a lot of the other stuff that I talk about is retirement related, but this presentation today is mostly for members that are within a year of retirement or sooner. So we're going to cover a bunch of different things as far as the process and how everything goes with that. But I do want to make sure that we go over a couple things with you guys. First, your guys' microphones are muted. That's automatic. I did that on purpose just to make sure that we don't have any background noises and stuff like that for the lunch hour and things like that. But I know that there's going to be questions today, so there is, if you guys want to ask questions, there's two ways you guys can do that. You can write your questions in the chat box, or you guys, if you want to ask those questions verbally, you just need to use the raise hand emoji at the top, and then I will unmute your mic. You can ask your question verbally. So normally how these lunch webinars work is I give the presentation, and then we have a Q&A after. So that way it gives us more time to answer more questions that you may have. But if you have questions, you feel free to just drop them in the box and I can get to them after the presentation. I finally figured out that this seems to be the most smoothest way to get through that information, and we can get to your questions at that. Also, just to let you guys know as well, this webinar is being recorded. So if you have to leave at any time or you had some coworkers that weren't able to attend, we will be uploading this to our website as well, so you guys can have view this later on. Okay, so as I mentioned, today's webinar is about planning your service retirement when you're about 1 year in. So here's kind of the rundown of what I'm going to be discussing and talking about with you guys today. So every webinar, I kind of go over what our retirement benefit is that we provide you all as members of FCERA, which is the defined benefit. Then we're going to kind of go over a retirement timeline, and from about a year in, about things to look for and things to look at and things of that nature. Then we're going to hop into looking at these other specific topics of choosing your retirement date. We're going to briefly touch upon benefit options, providing documents. I'm going to give you guys an overview of what to expect when you have a counseling session appointment with one of our retirement specialists. And then finally, I'm going to end with other things to finalize and things that you should know as well. Now, just to kind of give you guys a heads up, there's a couple of these topics that I have bullet point listed that I'm not going to go into full detail because we have already have that provided in more detail on our website through other webinars and things like that. So you guys can visit our website, and I will put that in the chat there at FresnoCountyRetirement.org. You guys can check that out on our website with more information as far as like benefit options and things like that, for example. And there's also a media tab on our website that has all these webinars on there. So you can watch previous webinars that I have done, including this one will be uploaded on our website very soon, probably within the next couple of days. Okay, so I think then it's about 12:05. I think we can really just kind of get started into the presentation here. So first off, I wanted to let you guys know what a defined benefit plan is. For those that are attending this webinar may not fully understand what the retirement benefit is from us. A defined benefit is a lifetime benefit that is calculated based on specific factors. That means when you do retire, you're going to get a benefit payment from us every month for the rest of your life. Now, how we calculate what's your monthly benefit that you'll get from us is based off of three specific factors. We look at your age at retirement. We look at the years of service that you have with us as either a county employee or one of our other plan sponsors like the Superior Courts of California. And then we look at your salary, or what we call final average compensation. Finally, we look at those three, we multiply those together, and that's how we calculate what you will get from us every month for the rest of your life. And then also that what other couple other things that come into play as well is tier level and membership classification, whether you're a general or a safety member. And also super important, but this probably has already happened for everybody in this webinar, is that you do need to be vested in the plan with at least 5 years of service in order to receive some type of a lifetime benefit from us. Okay, so that's a little bit of a background of what the defined benefit is. So now let's get into more of the presentation. So this first slide here is a roadmap of things that you can kind of look for and think about when you're 1 year away from retirement. Now, before I kind of get into each section of the roadmap, I do want to just I forgot to mention this at the beginning as well. With this presentation also being recorded, I also can provide you guys a copy of this PowerPoint deck as well if you guys want to. I will give you guys an email where you can email requesting one, and I can provide that to you later today. Okay, so this roadmap, we're starting from a year out from retirement. So what are some of the things that you want to look at when you think you're about a year from retirement? So you want to target your retirement date. So that's super, super important. In order to kind of get the process started with our office as far as counseling sessions and everything, we do need a retirement date to base the appointment off of. So from a year out, if you know that you're going to retire, let's say in 2024, 2025, you want to start thinking about what your potential retirement dates will be. Then, if you have not already, utilize the FCERA member portal. I'm going to be talking about this a lot today. The FCERA member portal, especially the benefit calculator inside the member portal, is such a vital tool in helping plan your retirement. The member portal allows you to look at all your retirement information at your fingertips. You can log in at any time, and then you can also run benefit estimates for your retirement for various retirement dates to kind of see what benefit amounts you would get at certain dates, what your options are, and so forth. I'm not going to really show the member portal in this presentation today, but if you guys check out our website and go to that media tab, there is a webinar about the usage of the member portal, giving a full demonstration, so you guys can go ahead and check that out at your convenience. And other things to think about when you're a year out, provide necessary documents. So I will be talking about what kind of documents we will need from you guys later on. And then this is optional. So if you want to finalize any service credit purchases or request service credit purchases, if you have any available like medical leaves and stuff like that, you might want to consider putting that request into our office. Now, that's just a year out. When we're getting closer, 3 months out, 90 days prior, that's when you can actually start calling our office and scheduling an appointment for a counseling session with our retirement specialists. So this question does get asked a lot in our by members to our office is, how soon can I call to set an appointment? You can only call up to 90 days prior to the retirement date that you pick. So if you are retiring, let's say March 31st, you can call January. Um, we don't make appointments outside of that 90-day window because it's just too far ahead. So when you can call to 90 days prior, and then the retirement specialist will schedule that appointment with you. And then also some things to consider if you are retiring when you're about 3 months out as well. If you have established reciprocity with another California public agency, it's a good idea to contact them and let them know that you're planning to retire on this date. Because remember, if you have reciprocity, you have to retire from both systems on the same day. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that in a little bit. Obtain Social Security estimate if you're electing the TAO, which is the temporary annuity option. The temporary annuity option is almost similar to like a loan that we provide you based on your Social Security estimates. I'm not really going to jump into details about that today. Like I mentioned, there is a webinar that I did about the TAO. You can find that on our website under the media tab and view that right there. Okay, so 1 month from retirement, these are things to consider. So you've probably had the counseling session at this point, but these are the things to consider to kind of wrap up everything. Contact HR department about annual leave. So your HR department. We don't deal with anything annual leave related, regardless if that's if you have extra hours that can be used for service credit and stuff like that. We don't deal with any of that. After you've retired, the HR department of your plan sponsor, so I'm going to use the County of Fresno, for example, because that's the majority of members that are in this call. HR sends us a report after you retired listing all your annual leave hours. They will also list there if you have hours that can be used for service credit. After that point that we get those hours and it says that this member has 50 hours that can be used for service credit, we make an adjustment on your benefit. So as far as and if you have questions about annual leave hours, talk to your HR department. Contact your bank of choice and make arrangements for any payroll deductions. So, for example, if you have like a loan or anything against that is being taken out of your pay stub, that's not going to continue on forward through your retirement check. So you're going to want to make sure you contact that institution directly and make your arrangements for that. Resolve any questions with the retirement specialist. 9 times out of 10, when you have that counseling appointment, the specialist will answer everything that you have. But if you have any other questions leading up to your retirement date, feel free to contact the specialist that you are working with, and they can finalize and answer any of those last questions that you have. Another big one here, finalize details regarding health insurance and deferred compensation. We don't deal with anything health insurance related, so you can talk to your HR departments about that, or find private insurance. And then also, if you have a deferred comp account, whether that's with Nationwide, Empower, if you're a courts employee, contact them and figure out what you need to do if you want to start drawing that distribution. And then finally, you want to notify your departments after you've had the counseling session, because once you're ready to retire and you sign that application, we will require you to provide us a copy of your signed resignation letter as well. So this is a nice little neat little roadmap to kind of think out stuff that you want to do when you're about a year out. Okay, so now we're going to kind of get into more of the things to do to coincide with that. Okay, so choosing your retirement date, which is also kind of a big topic in itself. So I want to first go off and saying that choosing your retirement date is your first important decision at the start of your retirement planning. Some things to consider when to determine your retirement date are shown here on the slide deck. Now, while these are things that we point out to you, FCERA can't unfortunately assist you in we can't assist you in performing or providing the best retirement date for you. So just keep that in mind. But things that members consider when they're picking out their retirement date. Your age is one of the 3 factors that we use to calculate your lifetime benefit. So every quarter year of age, your benefit increases slightly. So as the older that you get, your benefit slightly goes up. Now, that is until you meet the maximum age for your tier. Now, each tier has different maximum ages that can be found in our active members handbook online. But for example, tier 1, once you hit age 60, you are considered age cap. So you're already receiving the maximum benefit that you can get from your age. The only way to increase your benefit even more is by working longer, which would increase your years of service, or your final average compensation, which is your salary, having that increased as well. Goes without saying, because I mentioned age and service and years of service are factors in that. So the more service credit you have, the greater the benefit. Now, one of the other big things that members look at when they're choosing their retirement date is if they are in eligible tiers 1 through 3, they're looking at the cost of living adjustment. So members that are in tiers 1 through 3, you're eligible for a cost of living adjustment every April, assuming that one is granted by the Board of Retirement. So members in those eligible tiers that retire on or before April 1st, they can receive up to a max of 3% per year. Now, for 2022, this year, the cost of living adjustment was 4.5%. So anybody that retired this year before March 31st or April 1st, excuse me, and were currently retired, got a 3% cost of living raise this year, and then that extra 1.5% is put in the COLA bank. So if, let's say, the 2023 cost of living adjustment is 1.5%, those retirees would get 1.5%, and they can use that 1.5% in the bank to make their cost of living 3%. We don't know This is already, the calls already started coming in, emails, stuff like that. We don't know what the cost of living of 2023 is yet. We won't know until February. At one of our board meetings in February, the Board of Retirement will be presented what the potential COLA will be, and we'll approve that. At that point, what we do, we will announce that, put that on our website and stuff. So I know that a lot of members are looking at that to determine if they're going to retire. If you're waiting for what that COLA is and you know what that is on that day that it's announced at one of our board meetings, and you know that you're ready to retire before April 1st, call our office immediately to schedule an appointment. Now, a couple other things to help choose your retirement date, as I mentioned before, utilizing the FCERA member portal. The member portal is going to be one of your best tools to use to figure out when's the best time for you to retire. A lot of people that have talked to me at different department offsites when I've gone out there for public outreach, they've always brought up, well, I've heard from so-and-so that the member portal is not accurate. That is not true. The member portal is as accurate as if you were sitting in front of a retirement specialist at our office and they were to pull a calculation from the system itself. We pull the numbers straight from our system. So the member portal is a great tool. Now, obviously, some things can change from when you looked at the calculation on the member portal to when you go through the counseling session. But that could be a majority of different things that can impact that. It could be your final compensation has increased, which affected your benefit, or so forth. Or there may have been a leave of absence from the last time you looked at the portal until then. So there are things that can change that. Those are still considered estimates until you meet with the specialist, but the portal is a very good way to do so, to help plan. And then I mentioned also as well on the previous slide, you can contact our office to schedule an appointment up to 90 days prior to your retirement date. Okay, and this is just my little plug again for the member portal. I can't stress this enough. I want every member of the county and of our system to have an account with the member portal. It's going to be your best way to look at your retirement information. So outside of calculating your retirement benefit estimates, some of the other stuff that you can do, look at your contact and beneficiary information, look at your account summary, and so forth. There's a webinar on our website about the member portal, how to use it, and things like that. So check that out. If you know that you have not made an account with our member portal, that's okay. You can just send us an email to FCERA@FresnoCountyCA.gov, and I will throw that in the chat there. I already see a couple of questions coming in. I will throw that in the chat. Send us an email with your work email, and we can provide you what is called a unique identifier. That unique identifier is important because that will help us, or help you, I should say, create an account to have access to the member portal. Okay. Okay, on this slide here, these are just a summary of the benefit options that we provide when you're going through the retirement process. These small descriptions of these different options are in the member portal as well when you run benefit estimates. So the unmodified option, for example, provides the highest benefit available that you can get from us at FCERA based off of your age, your years of service, and then your final average compensation. The unmodified option provides a 60% lifetime continuance to an eligible beneficiary, which is a spouse or a minor child. And then there's other options available as well, as you guys can see there. I put this on there for summary purposes. You can actually find the benefit options there on our website as well, including another webinar that I did about that. I go a little bit more in depth about the benefit options. You guys can check that out on the website as well. Okay, so after you figured out when you're going to retire, you have a date in mind, you kind of have an idea of what options you're going to look at, and it's a little early for you to call for that appointment. What other things can you take care of? Well, one of the things is providing required documents. So there are going to be some documents that we do need from you in order to process your retirement and start your benefit payment. So a couple of those are listed on the screen right there. We are going to need a copy of your birth certificate. We are going to need a copy of your beneficiary's birth certificate, depending on the option that you select if it is not a spouse. If you have a spouse, we do need a copy of your spouse's birth certificate. And then we will need a copy of your marriage certificate or certificate of registered domestic partnership. If you ever get a divorce during your county service, and this is a huge one, if you ever get a divorce during your county service, we will need a copy of your finalized divorce documents. So for some of you in this webinar today, if you aren't even looking to retire in the next year or so, but you have a divorce during your county service, please submit those documents to our office so we have them on file for you. Because if we find out that you have a divorce through your county service and you have not provided documents to us, then we cannot process your payment or anything until we get those documents. We do need to review them and see if your ex-spouse is owed any percentage or interest, I should say, in your retirement benefit. And then finally, if you are interested in taking the temporary annuity option, provide a Social Security estimate at the counseling session with the retirement specialist. Now, the 4 bullet points above that's above the Social Security estimate, so the member birth certificate, Benny birth certificate, marriage certificate, dissolution of marriage documents, you guys can provide these documents at any time. You do not have to wait until the counseling session to do so. So if you guys have access to these, you guys can send them to our office and we can put them in your file. That's one less thing that you need to worry about when you go through the counseling session process and meet with the retirement specialist. If you're unsure if you have submitted any of these documents, you can give a call to our office, speak to a specialist, or you can send us an email and we can check that with you. Now, I know a question that's going to come up is, hey, what if I don't have a birth certificate? That's okay. If you have alternate forms of birth of identification, would be a certificate of naturalization, and a passport. If you have one of those, resident alien card, things like that, you could provide those documents to us as well. So what I recommend, regardless if you are going to retire in a year or not, is to provide a copy of these documents to us so we have them on file for you. So that's one less thing that you got to go look for during that time, because the last couple of months right before you're ready to retire is going to be a little bit stressful, trying to take care of making sure you have everything in place. Okay. So reciprocity is something also to think about if this applies to you. So for people that have reciprocity established with another California public agency, um, keep in mind that you got to retire from all systems on the same day in order for reciprocity to stay intact, and you can accept those benefits of reciprocity that reciprocity provides. Excuse me. You can contact our office 90 days prior to set your appointment when you have a retirement date. I recommend the day that you contact us, you contact the other agency as well. Make sure that you both are on the same page, because you're going to be meeting with both agencies, us and the other linked agency. It's not all done by us. You're going to have to meet with them also. And then, depending on the situation, when we receive documents back from the reciprocal agency, your first benefit check may be delayed a month or two. The reason for that being is when a member has reciprocity and they are going through the retirement process, yes, we do need to confirm that you retire on the same day from both us and the other agency. So when we have you sign a retirement application with us, and you have reciprocity, we send a request over to the other agency to confirm your date of retirement, the years of service that you had, and the highest final average compensation that they have under their system, because we may need to use that salary if that salary is higher than what you had as a county employee or a FCERA member, I should say, or vice versa. The other agency is going to send us the same information to confirm we have the retirement date and what our salary is and stuff. Depending on the timing when we get these forms back, on top of you submitting all the other necessary documents by a certain date, that will determine when you receive your first check. The retirement specialist, when they meet with you, will set a good timeline of when to get these documents in so you can get paid on this date. But just keep in mind with reciprocity, depending on how long it takes for us to get these forms from the other agency and so forth, it may delay your benefit check a month or so. Now, other things to consider here as well is purchasing service credits. Service credit can be increased if members purchase eligible time, which is time that you worked for a FCERA plan sponsor where you don't make retirement contributions. So if you took a leave of absence, worked extra help, or things like that. By purchasing any available service credit, it increases your monthly benefit because it increases that service credit factor, which is one of the three factors that we look at when we are calculating your benefit. Now, on the right side of that slide right there are just eligible service credits to purchase, new hire period, part-time or extra help, redeposit or withdrawn funds, prior public service. This is only available for superior courts in the special districts, not for county employees. And then leave of absence for medical or military leave. I do also have a webinar where I specifically talk about service credit purchases that can be found on the website as well. So if you guys want a little bit more in-depth talk about that stuff, check out the website, look for that webinar there. And then if you know what you already have, because you can look in the member portal as well to see if you have any available service credit to purchase. If you know you want to at least get that calculation started, complete this registration form that you see on the screen right there. You can actually go to our website, get that form, fill it out, send it to us. Once we get that form, our benefits unit will calculate all available time that you have. And then once that's been completed, we will send you a letter with a quote detailing the amount of service credit that can be purchased, the cost, the due date, the payment options, things like that. You can make payments, and you can also pay with your deferred comp plan. Now, members can request a calculation up until their day of retirement. We will tell you, though, you have 120 days from that date of retirement in order to purchase that time. If you don't purchase it within that time, you do not get that service credit, or you cannot purchase it after. So it's a good idea to see and get that information prior to even retiring. So the sooner you submit a request to our office, the better, because if you would like to make those payments on those service credit purchases through your payroll deductions, you can't do that when you leave the county and retire. So it's always a good idea to send that request in earlier, sooner rather than later, to kind of see what you're looking at there. Okay. All right. So we kind of went over a lot of stuff in the span of 20 minutes or so. So it was a lot of different stuff, probably a lot of very similar things, a lot of similar things that we have discussed with you all in previous webinars and stuff. Now we're going to get into something that I haven't really talked about, what you can expect when you've made that appointment and it's your counseling session day. You're ready to come to the office or have a video or phone session with the retirement specialist. What are you expecting when you meet with the specialist? Well, when you meet with the specialist, they're going to do a bunch of different things. They're going to review all your options with you again. So they're going to provide you a fresh calculation after auditing your file. They're going to go over all the different options with you and what that means for you and your beneficiary. They're going to verify that the beneficiary we have on file is that's who you want to have as your beneficiary going forward. They will answer all your questions that you have throughout the counseling session, because people do have a lot of questions. There is a checklist that we will go through down the line and have you sign, acknowledging a lot of the stuff that I talked about today and more. And then also, finally, after all that's done, you sign your retirement application for the date of retirement that you're meeting with for. At that point that you sign that application, the specialist will then provide a timeline of when to complete additional tasks of documents that you need to submit to us in order to receive your first check. And they will tell you the month when that you can expect your first check. So that's kind of like an overview. The counseling session, depending on your questions and everything like that, can last anywhere from 45 minutes to 1 hour. Now, something also to consider, you will probably need to take annual leave time for this. But that's department specific. Most people take annual leave, to my knowledge, when I was used to council members, because they weren't sure if they did not want to tell their department at that time. So they took their annual leave and met with us first before making any of those decisions and letting their employer know and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so the other thing about the counseling session as well, as I mentioned, there's going to be a bunch of different other forms for you to sign as well, and they're going to provide you different forms, such as tax forms and stuff, so which I will get into in a couple of slides here. Now, after the counseling session, you signed your application, you're feeling good, you're thinking to yourself, what else do I need to take care of at that time to kind of wrap everything up? As I mentioned before, when we were talking about that roadmap, if you have excess annual leave hours, contact human resources, contact your HR department to find out what happens with your annual leave hours. Most annual leave hours will be cashed out to you on your last check, unless you choose to roll those over to the deferred comp account. Now, some members may have hours that can be converted into service credit. As I mentioned before, if you have hours that can be converted into service credit, like the time off bank, we don't convert those hours on your first check, because we have to wait until you've retired and left employment with your plan sponsor to get the finalized document from their HR unit detailing how many hours can be used towards service credit. So at that point that we get those forms or get that document letting us know the hours, we make an adjustment on your benefit to include those hours, and that adjustment or increase in your benefit usually occurs on your third monthly check that you receive from us. Deferred comp, other thing to finalize. If you plan to withdraw or have questions on when you can withdraw, how that process works, if you don't want to withdraw at the time, contact your deferred comp plan and discuss that with them. So for county employees, it's nationwide. Our retirement specialist is Deanna Sisk. She's awesome. She's always available if you have questions. So if you're looking to retire and you want to figure out what to do with your deferred comp, talk to her. Courts employees, you have Empower. Unfortunately, I don't know what your who your rep is at this time, but contact Empower there and you can get that sorted out with them. Another big thing here is health insurance. I have to state again, because this question is a popular question that we get asked a lot. We do not deal with anything health insurance related. So you will need to either seek out private insurance yourself, or you could also contact your HR department to see if there's health insurance options. The County of Fresno, you can contact Employee Benefits and they have health insurance options that you can sign up for if you choose. Contact Social Security. If you plan on drawing the same time that you're retiring from the county, or from FCERA, I should say, you want to contact Social Security 3 to 6 months prior to set that up. And then finally, after you sign your retirement application, you already know that this is it. It's a done deal. Make sure to inform your employer, because we do need a signed letter of resignation from your manager or supervisor, and we needed a copy of that provided to our office. But the retirement specialist will go over with you again in the counseling session. Okay, now I got just a couple more slides here to wrap up. First benefit check. So once you retire, the retirees get paid once a month. So it's going to be a little bit of a different change being from an active employee to a retiree. You are going to get paid once a month, and that's on the last FCERA business day of the month that you will get paid. You can actually go to our website at any time and you can look at the different pay dates for retirees there as well. We post those for the whole entire calendar year. Now, the retirement specialist is going to go over more in detail what your timelines are to submit necessary documents such as tax forms and things like that. But if all the documents are usually submitted by the 25th of that current month, members can expect their first benefit check at the end of the following month. So for example, if you are retiring March 31st, if you submit all the documents such as resignation letter, tax forms, everything by March 25th, the specialist will probably tell you you can expect your first benefit check on the last business day of April. Now, divorce and reciprocity may cause a delay in your first benefit check. The retirement specialist will go over that with you. So, as I mentioned before, if you had a divorce during your county service or your FCERA membership service, please submit those documents to our office as soon as possible, so that way they can be looked over prior to having a counseling session. Now, something that's possible, but the specialist will give you more information about that because it all depends on timing, is if your date of retirement is from the 1st or 15th of that month, your first benefit check could possibly be paid in that current month. So, for example, if you happen to retire March 6th, you may be able to receive your first benefit check on March 31st. It won't be a full month's check because it will be from March 6th to the 31st, but you could get paid that first month on top of your last check with your employer. And then starting in April, you would get your full benefit check. But that's only under certain circumstances. The specialist that you're working with will give you more of a concrete timeline to go through that. Any date of retirement from the 16th to the end is usually always paid in the following month, as I mentioned. And then retirement benefits will also be retro paid to your date of retirement. So I kind of mentioned that if you have a divorce or reciprocity, that could delay your benefit. Or if anything delays when you potentially could receive your first benefit, if we have to wait an extra month, you will get retro paid. So for example, if you retire on March 31st and you were thinking you may get your first check in April, but it's actually not going to be till the end of May, your first check that you get in May will be from March 31st all the way through the end of May. So you will not miss out on the money that is owed to you. It's just when you were paid. So the best advice I can give you from my experience is to always plan accordingly. Just make sure that you have extra a months of expense or a couple months of expense just in case there's a delay. Just to plan for that, just in case. And then finally, the retirement specialist is also going to provide you direct deposits and tax forms. Now, you have the option for a direct deposit or a paper check. We strongly recommend using direct deposits. We do have some members that use paper checks, but we strongly recommend using direct deposits. It's a faster, more secure payment. You're used to that already as employees of either the county or the courts, things like that. The paper check, if someone goes down the paper check route, it could take approximately 2 to 5 business days from the check date issue, which is the last business day of the month, to get to you, barring any weather and stuff like that. So I highly recommend direct deposit. And you can change your bank accounts at any time. So when you fill out the initial form and submit it to us, that we get you paid for that first month. If you want to change your bank account, that's super simple. You just fill out a new direct deposit form and submit it to our office, and we can make that change. Now, tax forms are provided for you as well, federal, state, and out-of-state tax forms. You can always update your taxes at any time. So if you're not liking how it is the first go around, you can always update that, same as the direct deposit forms. We unfortunately cannot help you fill out those tax forms. So if you have questions about that, you will need to contact a tax specialist. We unfortunately cannot help you fill those forms out. Now, if you want to make any changes to your direct deposit or your tax forms, just make sure that you submit them by the 10th of the current month for the changes to occur in that month. So for example, if you want to make changes, if you were getting a benefits this month at the end of December, if you wanted to make a tax change or a direct deposit change, you would have needed to submit these change forms into our office by December the 10th in order for it to take effect for the December month. Otherwise, it would fall over to the following month, which is January. So just keep that in mind. And then finally, that's really it of the presentation. I know it's a lot of information in a short time, but I want to make sure I have time to answer questions. This is just our physical address there with our office hours at 8 to 12, 1 to 5, Monday through Thursday, Friday, 8 to 12. Phone numbers right there. Email if you guys have questions. Check our website, FresnoCountyRetirement.org, for any other information that you may need. I will just say, if you guys are looking to retire when the COLA hits, if you're waiting for that COLA, be very patient. Call our office immediately when you know if that's when you want to retire. Our retirement specialists will do the best that we can to get your appointment scheduled in a timely manner. But because the sheer volume of people wanting to retire and we're experiencing staffing shortage, just kind of bear with us. We are definitely trying our best to get through that, get through and help out as many members as we can. But just keep in mind, if you're looking to retire before March 31st, but you're waiting on that COLA, you find out what the COLA is and you call our office in March to schedule an appointment to make sure you retire before then, you probably will not receive your first benefit check until the end of May. Just keep that in mind. Okay. So with that, I think I can go and answer some of your guys' questions. If you guys have questions, you can throw it in the chat, or if you want to ask them verbally, you can use the raise your hand emoji. So Steve says, his question asks, hey, how does the bank time affect the 90-day contact rule? Well, you still have to pick a date. The thing is, we don't incorporate the time off bank hours that you have in the system to that initial calculation to bump up your retirement date. You can speak more to the supervisor and stuff about that, but the 90-day thing will still apply because normally we do not add those time off bank hours until after we've received the final confirmation from HR. Hopefully that makes sense. If my desired retirement date is a holiday, should I select that as my retirement date the day before the holiday? So the holiday. So I'm assuming you're probably, a lot of people think March 31st because it's Caesar Chavez Day as well. Um, so another thing I forgot to mention, when you pick a retirement date, that's your first day that you are no longer employed, that you were quote unquote retired. So your last day of work is going to be the day before your retirement date that you actually pick. So for example, most people tend to retire on a Saturday, with their last working day being Friday. So if you were thinking about retiring on December the 16th, which is tomorrow, but you actually wanted to work tomorrow as your last day, your retirement date would actually be December 17th, with your last day of work being December 16th. Now, as far as the holiday is concerned, if you are retiring, like let's say on April 1st, so for 2023, for example, Cesar Chavez Day is on a Friday. So the 31st is on a Friday. So people are going to be like, I want to retire on April 1st so I can get the holiday pay. The only thing that we will tell you is we don't make that determination. That is a department determination if you will get paid for the holiday if you were to retire on April 1st. So you will need to speak to them or HR about that. We cannot answer that question for you. Okay, let's see. What is your name? What if your name is different from the birth certificate? So if we're talking birth certificate, like you had a name change, first name or something like that, if you have an official name change document that is attached to that or something, you could provide that to us as well. But depending on what that is, you may want to call our office and speak to a retirement specialist so we can get more detail on that question. Priscilla asked, what if we don't have a birth certificate? I think I may have answered that already when I was talking about required documents, but if you have a passport, certificate of naturalization, a resident alien card, you can submit these alternative documents as well to our office if you don't have a birth certificate. To purchase service credit can be paid in more than 3 pay periods. Yes, so it can be depending on what the cost and the amount of leave time that you are purchasing. It varies. So you once you submit that request and we have that calculation done and sent back to you, it will break all that stuff down in the contract. I wouldn't be able to give you a specific thing because it varies based off of member from member. Emmy asked, does FCERA allow us to work as extra help or part-time with the same employer while drawing out retirement? So that's a great question. So you can work extra help after leaving the county of Fresno, for example. So for Sarah, we do allow you to work for our plan sponsors. We do allow you to work as, after you retire for the same plan sponsor, but there are contingents to that. You can only be an extra help employee. That's huge. You cannot be a permanent employee anymore. You can only be an extra help employee. You do have to wait 180 days after your retirement date in order to be eligible for an extra help position, and you can only work up to 960 hours in a year. All that information will be discussed with you as well during the counseling session. Kelly asks, where on the website can I find a copy of the retirement application? The retirement application is not available on our website. You are provided that application when you meet with the specialist when you're going through the retirement process. How do we time our retirement so there is not a long time before we get our first check? Well, that's a good question. So there's all these different factors. The best ways I can tell you to put yourself in the best position, make sure that we have all the necessary documents from you already, birth certificate, marriage certificate, if you have a divorce, things like that. Call when you have a date of retirement. If you have one set in stone that you know that you're retiring, call our office at that 90-day window so we can set an appointment with you. And then at that point, when you have the counseling session, as long as you have those other documents, if you have your banking information and you know how you want to fill out your tax forms, you could fill those forms out during the counseling session and give it back to the specialist. So that's one less thing that you have to do. And then at that point, it's getting your resignation letter sent back to us. And then there's one more form that you will have to sign before we can issue payment, and that's at a later date, which is the option election form. That's where you're going to officially elect your option. So the best way to kind of time that, there really is no best way, is just trying to put yourself in the best position by making sure that we have all the necessary documents from you, contacting us as soon as you can so we can schedule that appointment, and getting those documents back to us as soon as possible. The retirement specialists, They work super hard on making sure that they try to get you guys paid as soon as possible. So just make sure to work with them and follow the date guidelines that they give you in order to get your first payment as soon as possible. Great question. If divorcee is deceased, is divorce certificate still required? I We will need a copy of the death certificate, and I do believe we will still need a copy of the divorce document to have on file just in case. So I would recommend providing both of them. If you retire later in the year and not prior to April, will you never get the COLA? No, that is not true. So if you retire after April 1st, so let's say that you don't retire before April 1st of 2023, but you retire in June, you will still be eligible if you're as long as you're in tiers 1 through 3, you will still be eligible for a COLA every year. It's just if you retire after April 1st, you will have to wait until 2024's COLA, if there is one, to receive a COLA payment. So you just wouldn't get it for that year, but you would be eligible for the next year if there was a COLA to pay out. Great question. Great question. Can you purchase prior military service now, or was that just available at the time of hire? So prior military service, if you are a county employee, that is not allowed anymore. They used to allow that. They used to allow that as a county employee. Years ago, that stopped in about 2011. You can only purchase military service as you're an active employee. If you're a courts employer, another plan sponsor, that has to be done within 90 days of you starting as a courts employee. Hopefully that helps. Okay, let's see here. Steven asks, how do we schedule a meeting with the retirement specialist? Okay, great. So there's two ways that you guys can do that. Once you guys have a date picked out and it's no earlier than 90 days from that date, you can give us a call at that phone number that you see on the screen right there, or you can send us an email, and we will then forward that over to the retirement specialist team to provide you, to provide them a call so they can, or I cannot talk today, I apologize. So they will contact you to schedule an appointment. But like I mentioned, we are experiencing a little bit of staffing shortage. So just be very patient. They're trying to get through these calls and stuff as soon as possible to getting to you guys. Vicky asks, can we take someone else along to our retirement meeting? Absolutely, you can. We do have members that bring their spouses along to the appointments, so you're definitely more than welcome to do so. I would say in a lot of the cases when I used to counsel members, we would have a lot of members bring their spouse to listen to the information as well. So yes, that is definitely something you can do. Great question. Okay. So the rest of the time here, because it's about 12:48, so we got about 10 minutes or so left. I'm more than welcome to stay here and answer any more questions if you guys have any. Please just keep firing them away in the chat box, or if you want to ask them verbally, you can. If you guys have no questions you want to take off, you're more than welcome to. I appreciate you guys checking out this website today. I hope it's really, you guys found it informational. I know it's a lot of information to cover in the span of an hour, but I'm trying to put all this stuff out there for you guys to have all this knowledge so you guys can make the best decisions for yourself. Where on the website will I find the recording on this course? If you go to the website, at the top of the page of the website, there are multiple tabs there. Let me see if I can share my screen and I will show you. Give me 1 second here. Let me share my screen. Okay, so you guys can see my screen right here, the FCERA website here. If you guys go here to media, click like here, this is all our media tab. So these are where all our webinars are going to be. So it's going to take me a day or two to edit this webinar today, and I will put it here for you guys to look at. But I have other webinars there about the member portal, service credit purchase, COLA webinar from last year, talking about what the COLA is and how that affects you. There probably will be another COLA webinar next year, so we'll be on the lookout for that. I do have and I see your question there, is there a webinar for the TAO? Under the media tab, I do have a webinar right there for the TAO. as you can see right there, along with benefit options. But then also, while you guys are watching that video, you guys can actually take that link and go to our YouTube channel. There's some other videos on there that I have not uploaded as well. Now, something else that I am going to be putting on in the next month, I have not announced that yet officially to the public, but it will be coming out very shortly. You guys will be some of the first ones to hear. Our pre-retirement seminar for members that are within 5 years of retiring or less is going to be held on Thursday, January 26th at the Fresno County Ballroom in the Plaza Building. Fresno County Plaza Building Ballroom. Excuse me, good Lord. From 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. These pre-retirement seminars have multiple speakers there. So we give a presentation. I have collaborated with Nationwide to give a deferred comp presentation. We will have County of Fresno HR give a presentation about medical benefits, things like that. I will also have a speaker from Kaiser giving a presentation about Medicare and so forth. It's a seminar that we put on twice a year. So we will be hosting that in January and then again in July. Again, I will be sending out an announcement within the next couple of days of how you guys can register for that and be on the list if you are interested. But just to give you guys that heads up. Okay. Well, let's see here. Anybody else have any questions or anything else that you could think of off the top of their head? I'm trying to think if there's anything that's I'm trying to think if there's anything that I can talk to you guys about. Um, Okay, let's see here. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you guys for being here this afternoon. And hopefully you guys found this information useful. That's the whole point of me doing these type of presentations. I want to make sure that I provide you guys as much information as you can because retirement is scary. It is a lot to think about. So we want to make sure that we make it as easy and as stress-free for you as possible. Okay, so I don't see. Well, I guess then if there aren't any other questions, I think that's going to do it for the webinar today. I want to thank you guys again for being here this afternoon. I really, really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to give us a call to our office, send us an email. You can always reach out to me as well directly. If I don't have the answer for you, I could definitely point you or send you down the right channel to get that created for you. But yeah, so I really appreciate all your guys' attention today. I want to wish you guys all a good holiday season. Enjoy the rest of your week, and see you guys at the next webinar. Have a good one.